I'm going to call the member for Durack.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm pleased to rise to speak on the succession to the Crown Bill 2015 because it provides an opportunity to focus on a long overdue change that directly impacts the perception of women, the status of women and the rights of women. It is a bill for an act to change the law relating to gender and marriage on royal succession and related matters. But, Deputy Speaker, what motivates me to participate in this debate? Well, Deputy Speaker, as we've already heard many before me speak, the Sovereign of Australia, of course, is the same as the Sovereign of the United Kingdom, and changes are being made to the law in the United Kingdom. And because I wish to signal to all Australians that we are a modern government here in Australia, and that my government will dispense with discriminatory practices and my government will support equality. The changes that we are debating and proposing in this bill will ensure that the same person is the same as the Sovereign of Australia as the Sovereign of the United Kingdom, with two main provisions. Firstly, it will remove the statutory provision by which marriage to a Roman Catholic person disqualifies that person in the line of succession. This religious discrimination is contemptible in the 21st century, and therefore this bill is most welcome. Secondly, it will put an end to the archaic system of male preference primogeniture, such that in the future the order of succession will be determined simply by birth and not by sex. Frankly, Deputy Speaker, I wonder if we will ever get to the point where it's actually more about intellect and ability to do the job, but I guess that's a debate for another day. Primogeniture today, not a commonly used word, clearly, because I'm having a bit of trouble saying it myself. Pardon? Yeah, thank you. Is the right by law or custom of the firstborn male child to inherit the family estate in preference to siblings. In the absence of children, inheritance passed to collateral relatives, usually males, in order of seniority. The eligible descendants of deceased elder siblings take precedence over living younger siblings. The principle has applied in history to inheritance of property and land, as well as inherited titles and offices, mostly monarchies. It was just 3 years ago in 2011 when representatives of the nations of which the current sovereign, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, agreed that these rules ought to be changed. And in turn, the parliaments of all Australian states and territories have also requested that the Commonwealth enact such a bill. As I said earlier, we are a modern government acknowledging that women are equals, and we will continue to dispense with laws and practices that get in the way of equality. And that, Deputy Speaker, is ultimately why we are here today debating this bill. And this leads me on to my favourite subject, which is the electorate of Durack. As we know, the largest electorate in Australia, a mere 1.6 million square kilometres, from the northern tip of the Kimberley down through to the Pilbara, Gascoyne and Midwest Temora, some 100 kilometres north of Perth, out to the wheat belt. And in the spirit of this debate and of Dame Mary Durack's classic Kings in Grass Castles, there are plenty of women running the show in Durack, but we don't call them queens, kings or sovereigns for that matter. Over the past weekend, the coastal and beautiful tropical town of Carnarvon on the banks of the mighty Gascoyne River suffered the severe effects of tropical cyclone Nguyen. Just last year, another drought year for the Carnarvon farmers, I joined in the official opening of the $100 million government-funded levee bank project, which was to protect the vegetable, tomatoes, fruit, banana and mango plantations from flooding and to hold the precious topsoil. This year looked promising with water in the river for a change with some late summer rains, and then the cyclone hit with only the last weekend. I travelled to Carnarvon on Sunday, and when I arrived I didn't see a single banana tree standing, and estimates are that 100% of the crop has been decimated. It was a heart-wrenching sight. Miss Nguyen, not a sovereign, but many who consider her to be the Vietnamese matriarch of Carnarvon and a community leader in Carnarvon, has a family-owned plantation north of the Gascoyne River. On Sunday, I had the pleasure of her taking up precious time to show me many of the Vietnamese plantations in Carnarvon, where I saw not only the destroyed crops, but also the extent of infrastructure damaging. It really was heartbreaking. Ms Nguyen is a grower who's been in the region for 15 years and only last year took up the role with the Carnarvon Growers Association. She is the first member of the Carnarvon Vietnamese horticultural community to join the organisation. Ms Nguyen is a strong voice for around 100 local Vietnamese growers, many of whom share farm. Ms Nguyen joined the organisation because her community needs to be better informed. She speaks for them, to them and with them. And her wish is to get more Vietnamese people to participate in committees and community leadership. With last week's cyclone, I'm very pleased that a translator will soon arrive in Carnarvon, which will be able to help to explain the support that will be available for the Vietnamese community from the federal government, but also from the state government. Another Durack woman, not a sovereign, but who is a significant leader, is Lynne Craigie. Lynne is the president of the Shire of East Pilbara, which includes towns like Marble Bar, reputedly Australia's hottest town, and Nguyen, home to BHP's Mount Wellback iron ore operations, being the largest open-cut iron ore mine in the world. Lynne was elected Deputy President of WOLGA, being the West Australian Local Government Association, in 2012. She's been President of the Shire of East Pilbara for 8 years and a Shire Councillor for 12 years. Lynne is involved with local, regional and state organisations. She's also the Chairperson of the Newman's Women's Shelter, Chairperson of the Pilbara Regional Council, Chairperson of the Wolga Mining Forum, past Chairperson of Roadwise Newman. She's also a member of 6 other further committees or groups, board member of the Australian Local Government Association, the Pilbara Development Commission and a past board member of Australia's Northwest Tourism Group. Clearly she's a very busy lady. She's selfless and she's quite remarkable. Deputy Speaker, I'm supporting the succession to the Crown Bill today because I want to promote women like Lynne Craigie and Kim Nguyen. The 70s view of women, I believe, is dead, but not quite buried. Women should not hide under a bushel. I stand strongly for equal opportunity. Judge these women by what they do, not by their sex or their religion. In Durack, women work, women lead, and women are respected. I will take any opportunity to change harmful perceptions of women to ensure equal status and equal rights for women. From my own personal perspective, I've always worked in male-dominated areas, predominantly agriculture and mining, and I have to say I've never felt any gender issues or that it's prevented me from getting the job I wanted, and I've never felt that I'm not respected. But I do acknowledge that that's not the experience for all women, and we all, men included, need to call it out when we see and witness gender discrimination. And whilst I'm here, I would like to just put on notice, Deputy Speaker, that women like us that work in, whether it's politics or they're farmers or work in different businesses, they often can't do it on their own. And like men, they often do need support. So I just want to put on record that without Brad Bell, my partner, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing here today. So one last thing, I wouldn't mind just mentioning another woman in the Pilbara. As we know, it's the economic engine room of the nation, and it would not surprise my modern-day colleagues and constituents to learn that the Pilbara town of Port Hedland is also led by a woman. Kelly Howlett, who's the popular Mayor of Port Hedland and West Australia's youngest mayor, is not a sovereign either, but she is a natural and generous modern-day leader who knows all about rights and how to fight for equality. The environmental scientist who founded the Care for Hedland Environmental Association was recently recognised for leading the charge for conservation in the Pilbara. Kelly was recently awarded the National Pride of Australia Medal in the Environment category for her conservation work. In 2007, Kelly was elected to council at the age of 30 and became mayor of this significant local government area in 2009 at age 32. And some would say it's a pretty tough town. Not yet 40 and with 6 years as a mayor, WA's youngest mayor is active environmentally in the community and in various leadership roles with organisations such as the Pilbara Regional Council, Regional Development Australia, Pilbara Development Commission and Rose Nyoa's Early Learning Centre. Kelly's had many roles. She's worked as a barmaid, a gardener, sustainability officer and also a visitor centre manager. She's what I consider to be a modern day leader. She walks the talk and she's judged in Durack by her peers by what she does, not by her sex or by her religion. Deputy Speaker, I've really enjoyed today being able to profile some of the women who I consider are running the show in Durack, the opportunity afforded by this debate on the succession of the Crown Bill 2015. They are not Durack's kings in grass castles, nor are they queens or sovereigns. Miss Craigie, Miss Howlett and Miss Nguyen are modern-day leaders who just happen to be women. They are judged by what they do, not by their gender, and duly recognised and respected. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss them today.
I thank the member for Durack.